I'm Blaine Turner. I'm a first-year dental student at the University of Mississippi Medical Center School of Dentistry. I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, but I grew up in the Jackson metro area. I went to Xavier University of Louisiana for undergrad. I was a biology major and a chemistry minor. In terms of extracurricular activities that I feel really shaped my journey, I was active in student government. So I served as freshman class vice president and junior class president. I was also very active in our pre-dent club for 3 years. One of the years I was pre-dent club historian, and another year I was pre-dent club vice president. I also served as a project coordinator for one of our service programs on campus. And I had a couple of on-campus jobs that I also feel were really important. So I was a supplemental instructor for microbiology, and I worked in the pre-med office where I had an opportunity to read and critique personal statements and host mock interviews for students. So yeah, and then in terms of a fun fact about myself, I played alto saxophone for 7 years. I went into undergrad thinking that I wanted to be a medical doctor. And then after my freshman year, I decided to do some shadowing during the summer to kind of see where the best fit for me would be in the field of healthcare. So I shadowed in pediatrics, family medicine, and dermatology. And then I shadowed in optometry, and then I shadowed my pediatric dentist in the last 2 weeks of summer. And in those 2 weeks that I was with my pediatric dentist, I realized that dentistry was where I best fit. And I felt like it was the best place. It just seemed like where there was the most meaningful patient contact. You got to really work with your hands. You got to really teach your patients something that they're going to use on a daily basis. And those were all things that really resonated with me. And they were things that I was looking for in my career. So that's how I ended up being interested in dentistry. And then after I decided that dentistry was what I wanted to pursue, I continued to shadow in different offices just to get a feel for what it looks like in different places and with different people running it. So that's how I ended up interested in dentistry. I studied for the DAT during the summer of 2020, and I ended up taking it in August of 2020. So that was right after my sophomore year. I was fresh out of organic chemistry, and I honestly think that that was kind of something that helped me and was really beneficial because I was fresh out of that course. But in terms of study materials, I used DAT Bootcamp and DAT Destroyer to supplement with some harder questions for the science section and the math section. I studied for about 3 months. And yeah, in terms of tips, I think that going into it with the mentality that you're only going to do it once definitely helps you buckle down and get it done, as well as just putting in the time, putting in the effort, but also making sure that you're taking breaks so that you don't burn yourself out. So that's my advice. I think I was able to stand out in terms of my application because I was able to get my application in early. I also think I was very well-rounded. I participated in a lot of extracurricular activities, I had a lot of shadowing hours, and I think that my letters of recommendation were also pretty strong. And so those are some of the things that I think kind of worked in my favor when it came to standing out. I think I got my invitation in like middle of September or early September, and then I actually interviewed on September 30th of 2021. So this was my first in-person interview. I was kind of nervous about it because all the other interviews I did were on Zoom. So I was kind of nervous about the in-person portion. But, I went in and I was greeted by student ambassadors. They took us up to a conference room. We were interviewed in cohorts. So it was really intimate. There was only 10 of us there interviewing that day or that morning. And then after that, they took us up to the conference room. We got a tour of the school. And then we did 10 multiple mini interviews, which was also something that was different. I didn't do any other interview that was like that. But so basically the way it works is you have a situation that's posted outside of the door. And then you have like 30 seconds to think about how you would respond to the situation or answer whatever question they have out there. You go into the room, you have 10 minutes with the faculty members that are in there, and you get to answer the question, and then they get to kind of follow up with any questions regarding the situation or just regarding, your interest in dentistry or anything else that they may have that they want to know about you. So it was a very interesting experience, but I really liked the interview process and I felt good leaving it. There was only I think one room where I was like, I wish I would have said something different, but I mean, honestly, obviously it worked out, so. This may be a little cliche, but you want to make sure that you're really being yourself when you're on your interview. You want to make sure that you are being consistent with everything that you've submitted so far. So just making sure that you are representing yourself well and being true to yourself. I think that that's very important. But another tip that I have is to make sure that you're interviewing the school just as much as they're interviewing you, because when it comes down to it, on decision day, when you get your acceptances back, you're going to have something to go off of. And the way that the staff members and the way that the students respond to some of those questions that are important to you, that will end up helping you make your decision. So that's my advice. I applied to 8 schools and I interviewed at 7 of those schools, and I got 5 acceptances. When it came down to it, when it was time for me to make a decision on where I would end up, I ended up choosing my school based on 3 different factors. Cost of attendance. So I'm a Mississippi resident, so and the University of Mississippi Medical Center only takes in-state students. So I'm an in-state resident, I get in-state tuition, so it's cheaper. In addition to proximity to home, I grew up in the Jackson metro area. This is where my family is. This is where my support system is. So that's was something that was important to me. And then the class size. So I've gone to primarily smaller schools. And so while this would be smaller than my undergrad institution, I knew that I still wanted to have some level of one-on-one contact with my professors and, just really having them be vested in my education in dental school. So the class size at the University of Mississippi Medical Center is only 40. So we really do get a lot of individualized attention. We have great relationships with our professors. And so I was able to really make my decision based off of those 3 factors. That's what really set UMMC apart for me. So I am in month 2 of being a dental student, and the transition has been kind of hard, but it's hard because, we have so many more classes than I had in undergrad, and just the level with which they want us to kind of go through everything and know everything is different than what we're kind of used to, or at least from what I'm used to in undergrad. But I think that it can be challenging. I don't like to use the word overwhelmed, but I do think that you can be inundated with information and with the frequency with which we have to be assessed. So we are currently in Darktober, which is where you have 2 tests a week for the whole month of October, basically. And so that's kind of rough, but we're getting through it. And I think that what's reassuring, or what kind of helps, is just trying different things and understanding that so many people before us have done this and that they've gotten through it and we'll get through it too. So a typical day for me starts at about 6:15 or 6:30. I try to be at the school for 7:30, and then I'm in class from 8 until 12. And then from 12 until 1, I'm at lunch, and then 1 until 5, I'm in class. And then after classes end at about 5, I'm usually either at the school or at home studying and preparing for any tests or quizzes that we might have. In terms of fun, we try to hang out as a class after big tests, and then just, when I'm studying with friends or whatever, we'll try to watch a movie or watch a TV show in between study breaks or whatever. So just trying to find little fun things to do, or, going to the fair, or just trying to get outside of school as much as you can, or planning to do things that you will look forward to. So. An exciting part of going to school is, really just challenging yourself to do your best, but also learning skills and learning information that is going to be relevant to you being the best possible dentist that you can be in, a few short years. Just thinking about that is always really crazy to me. Another thing that is really exciting is making new memories and learning new things with all of my classmates and all my friends, because in a few years, we're all going to be colleagues in the world just treating patients. So I think that that's very, very exciting to think about. And it's exciting to be able to learn this stuff with them and to be able to, practice on them. In fact, this week we took impressions on each other. So that was a lot of fun, certainly an experience. But yeah, so those are some of the things that just make it kind of exciting. My biggest piece of advice to pre-dents is to be proactive and to be organized. I think that as someone who has gone through this process, it's very important that you kind of go after the opportunities that you want. So when it comes to shadowing, you have to reach out to those dentist offices and see if anyone would be willing to let you in to kind of shadow them. As well as being organized is very important. Like, I had an Excel document with all of the schools that I applied to, when I received secondary applications, when I submitted my secondary applications, how much money they needed for the secondary applications, when I got interview invitations, and then just to kind of help me keep track of everything, as well as keeping track of your shadowing opportunities, because you're going to need to be able to document those things to submit when the time comes. And, just keeping a log of all of the little experiences that have shaped your journey also is something that I think helps, because those are the things that you write about in your personal statement. When you see something that inspires you, or when you see something that interests you, like, those are things that really fuel your passion and your desire to be a dentist. Again, I am Blaine Turner. I'm a first-year dental student at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, School of Dentistry. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you may have. You can contact me on Instagram or TikTok. My Instagram is bj.turner. And my TikTok is bjt___. Thanks.